make sure like that's covered there. I feel in a way like I'm leading a double life because people don't know I'm Muslim. That sounds terribly exciting. It's not that exciting, but it does feel a bit deceptive because I believe what I'm following is the truth, so I want to be honest about it, but then that's my weakness.
You look like a Muslim now.
I am.
Her conversion immediately sparked media reaction in the UK, much of it negative. Right-wing commentators accuse her of being mad or trying to make a statement in support of political Islam.
Well, choosing to cover my hair just for modesty reasons and understanding that women are happy in Islam.
It's thought that thousands of people convert to Islam in the UK every year, many of them women. The former Prime Minister has been accused of stoking a clash of civilizations between Islam and the West by invading Iraq and Afghanistan. So what will he and his wife think of Lauren Booth's conversion?
I'm sure they'll say mashallah and be delighted because they're, after all, they're people of the book.
One day I met a Muslim woman. She was a Turk, an immigrant. She worked in a grocery store down the street. I used to feel so sorry for her, wearing that headscarf. How could she be so brainwashed? So kind of like you, I started asking questions and talking to her. And then I began to realize that maybe I was the one who was brainwashed. I mean, all the so-called freedom in the West didn't bring me happiness. It just made me a slave to fashion, slave to the cosmetics industry, slave to men. And then I read the Holy Quran, and I saw that Islam gave dignity to women. In Islam I learned that my value comes from what's inside, my heart, my soul. And that's when I became truly free.
Now, my journey started with religion in general, with Christianity back in 1997 when I was turning 20. I came upon this YouTube clip from The Dean Show with Joshua Evans. And I watched that and I was so intrigued how he was a youth minister, and a Christian youth minister, and he discovered Islam and he reverted to Islam. So I went to the main website of The Dean Show, watched a lot of conversion stories, and I'm like, what is it about these Muslims that people want to leave Christianity and go to, you know, Islam?
Controversy is director Oliver Stone's middle name. Now his son may be following in his own footsteps. Sean Stone made headlines recently with reports that he's converted to Islam. Sean Stone joins me now to explain why. Sean, welcome. You've been taking a lot of flack for all this. I suppose my first thought was, what was your father's reaction as a Jewish legendary Hollywood producer when you told him that you were going to be converting to Islam?
Pop star Michael Jackson will now be known as Michael. Jax converted to Islam at a friend's mansion in Los Angeles. The 50-year-old singer was joined in celebrations by British singer Cat Stevens, now known as Yusuf Islam.
I feel alive and I feel strong. I can feel Islam running in my veins.
My name is Zina, and I'm living in the capital of Moldova, Chisinau, and I was converted in Islam 1 year and 8 months ago, and it was only my decision. I started to be interested in Islam when I was in the film. Yes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I just want to give you a little introduction of why I became Muslim and how it just came about really. About a year ago my fiance he came back to his religion. When we first met, he was Muslim, but he wasn't a practicing Muslim. And like I say, this time last year, he actually came back to his religion. He found his faith again. He started to read the Quran and pray and everything like that. And he started to read to me stories about the prophets, peace be upon them, and also gave me a website where I could read the Quran in English, and next to it there was the Arabic translation. The Quran wasn't what I expected. The way it was written was really beautiful, and it seemed to me that every question you had, it was answered there. No matter what question it was or anything, there was an answer in the Quran at some point in it. And the more I started to read about it, the more I wanted to learn about Islam, its principles, and what it was like to be Muslim in general. So I started to get books out and read them, well, obviously, and I also started to look at websites on the internet about Muslim converts and just anything that I could find, really. So it carried on for about a few months, me just researching and finding everything that I could. And November of last year, I actually said my Shahada. I didn't say it with anybody present. I said it to myself, and I did all the purifications and everything. So since then, it's just been amazing. I don't actually live in a Muslim community, so it's a bit difficult for me to interact with Muslims personally, but I got a book out a few months ago. It's called The Bible, the Quran and the Science, and that book it's so great. It's by an author called Maurice Bucaille, and he basically he tells you all the contradictions of what the Bible says between the Old and the New Testament and how it's changed through the years. And then he also goes on to say that the Quran is, in modern knowledge, it can't be explained, and therefore it must be the word of God, because things that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago cannot be explained today, how they knew it, sort of thing. And it's just a great book. You should check it out. It's really good. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, really. Took a few months for me to get there, but I did. So brothers and sisters, you got a new one to add to the family.
What is that?
It's a copy of the Quran, 14th century.
Are you Muslim?
No, I'm in television.
But why would you keep it?
I don't have to be Muslim to find the images beautiful, or it's poetry, moving.
وأشهد أن محمد.
Alison Poole says this phrase 3 times in Arabic and then in English.
There is no God but God.
And I bear witness
that Muhammad
is the messenger of God.
Is the messenger of God.
If any human being doesn't ever question why they're here, then I think there's something wrong in that. And even though one part of me was saying it might upset people if I did this, I mean, I got to the stage in the January 3 years ago where I thought I have to follow this. This is the right way. I like to identify myself as a Muslim. I do feel disappointed with myself if I do go out, like this. But I do think I really should be covering my head.
Are a growing number of white men who've converted to Islam. Paul Martin became a Muslim 4 years.
Since birth, every human being on earth starts the journey towards the truth. Now, as a Muslim, I can see that God is the truth. I see God as the truth. When you see everything from that point of view, it explains so many questions. I remember before the Islam, I used to have such questions as, why are we even here? What are we doing on earth? I
needed to get a job, so I got a job teaching in a school. My job was to teach the children in the school about the 6 major world religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Now, I knew about Christianity, and I knew enough about Judaism, but the other 4 I knew nothing about. So to teach Islam to these Muslim kids, and I was teaching them for public exams, I had to get the books out each night and read about Islam to teach them. And the more and more time went on, the more I read, the more I liked what I read. I liked what I was reading, until it came maybe 3-4 months into this journey, and I found myself, I was mentioning the name of Prophet Muhammad, upon him be peace, and tears would come in my eyes when I was teaching the kids, or a lump would come in my throat. Ramadan came, and they approached me and they said, "Sir, we've got nowhere to pray in Ramadan, and your classroom is the only room in the school with a carpet." Coincidence, eh? My room was the only room in the school with a carpet and a wash basin. They needed a wash basin to perform the ablution before prayer. So they said, "Can we use your classroom to pray?" So again, this part of the journey. The long and the short is that during Ramadan they prayed, and I sat at the back and marked my books and prepared my lessons, but basically after a few days began to watch them pray. And I'd look up and say, "Oh, they're doing this now, and now they're doing this." And I became fascinated, and I went to the internet, and without telling them, I learnt off by heart the Arabic words they were saying. So at the end of Ramadan, I knew how to pray. These kids had taught me how to pray. And as well, at the beginning of Ramadan, when they'd said, can we pray in your room, I said yes. But also I said, in solidarity with you, I'm not a Muslim, but I'll fast with you during the month of Ramadan. So at the end of that Ramadan, I'd learned how to pray, and I'd fasted, not for Allah's sake, but I'd fasted to encourage the children's faith. So more and more months went by, and by this time I knew what Muslims were like. I knew they were good people. I felt comfortable with Muslims. So I began to go to London Central Mosque to learn more about Islam for myself. Not to teach, but for my own heart, or my own mind. And the final one of the talks there was given by Yusuf Islam, Cat Stevens, the famous singer. And at the end of his talk, I went up to him and said, brother, what do you do to become Muslim? And he said, well, I said, I don't want to be Muslim, but if someone wanted to be Muslim, what would you do? He said, well, first of all, Muslims believe in one God. I said, well, I've always believed in one God. He said, and Muslims pray 5 times a day. I said, well, actually, I know how to pray in Arabic. And he gave me a very puzzled look. And he said, and Muslims fast during Ramadan. I said, well, actually, I've fasted in Ramadan for the whole month. And he looked me directly in the eyes. And he said to me, brother, you are Muslim already. Who are you trying to fool?
At the Sunday Express, her employers insist she's a bona fide journalist who only entered Afghanistan to report on the humanitarian situation.
Fell off a donkey, captured by the Taliban, gave them an undertaking that I would study the Quran if they released me. I kept my word, read the Quran, read it again, read supporting literature, couldn't believe what I was reading because the Quran makes it perfectly clear, crystal clear, that women are equal in spirituality, worth and education. And as a feminist, I found this quite breathtaking.
My name is Jenna. I'm Greek. My uncle died in front of my eyes, taking his last breath, and that was the thing that changed a lot inside of me. I just started feeling that this life isn't exactly what I thought it is, and we're investing too much time and energy on things that could be gone in a second time. I researched before about other religions as well, but I could not find any truth in there or anything that will convince me. When I started reading about Islam, I found all the answers that I could not find in my own religion. I was convinced that everything I know about Islam, I have to delete it and just start reading from zero onwards and get my own research and get my own facts about this religion, because obviously everything I knew before was wrong. It didn't take a long time to find out that Islam is the truth and that there can't be any other religion in the world than this.
But my life before Islam, I wasn't never happy in my religion. I was always asking questions. The most question that concerned me was, if I want to pray, why should I pray to Jesus? Why not pray to Allah, to God? And my questions to my mother, she was always, well, it's in the Bible, we have to believe it. I asked my grandmother the same question. She told me the same thing. It's in the Bible, we have to believe it. But I never really wanted to pray to Jesus. If I wanted anything, it should be to God. So I kept asking questions, and I was just basically told it's in the Bible, so we have to believe what's in the Bible. So I was always searching for an answer. One day I was, trying to read the Bible, and I got a migraine headache. When I get migraine headaches, I cannot see. So I put it down, and I said, I'll read it later. This happened 3 times. So the 3rd time when I got the migraine headache and I could not see, I just took that as a sign as, don't read it. How I became Muslim was through my husband. Before I married him, I met him. I was shopping at a store. He owned a store in Chicago. So we started talking, and my husband, mashallah, he always talks about the religion to anybody. So he was asking me what my religion was, and I told him. And he told me about the religion. The first thing he told me about the religion was that we don't believe in Jesus as the Son of God. We believe in him as the Prophet. And when he told me that, I said, this is the religion I've been looking for. You know, because now I can finally pray to God.
And for Constantine, division in the church threatened political instability. So after he became the sole emperor in 324 AD, he turned his attention on these divisions and called the Council of Nicaea to sort them out. So Jesus' establishment as the Son of God was officially proposed and voted on by the Council of Nicaea. Constantine upgraded Jesus' status almost 4 centuries after Jesus' death.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
Thank you for coming to be with us again.
Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be on the Deen Show. One of the amazing things about Islam that everyone should know is that we are the only other religion that is a tenet of faith that you must believe in Jesus Christ and everything that he did, or you cannot be a Muslim. If that is missing, if you say that you do not believe in Jesus, you have stepped outside of Islam. First, number one reason is that God cannot be born. God cannot be born. Jesus was born. In Isaiah 46:9, I am God and there is none like me. Also the verses that Jesus quoted, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is but one God, and then there is none else.
You heard it here on the Deen Show. Number 8, talk to me, brother.
Number 8 was that in 1 John, no man has seen God at any time. Moses asked to see God in the Quran, and he said, look at the mountain. If the mountain can see me, then if it can bear my sight, then you can see me. And we know that when God showed himself to the mountain, it crumbled into pieces. And then Moses repented and said, I'm sorry, basically, that I don't want to see you. We cannot stand to see God. God is not something that can come in the form of a human being. I mean, you cannot contain God's essence inside of a physical form. That is to lessen God beyond extent, to put him inside of a physical form.
He's too great.
He's too great to be put in any form, in any diameters, in any parameters, in any dimensions, any box. You can't put God inside a box.
Number 7, talk to me, brother.
Number 7 is this concept was not taught by Jesus or his disciples, nor was it believed in by his followers and the early followers of Christianity. As we see when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in Qumran, we see that the early Christians were still a part of Judaism. For instance, if you read the book of Acts, when Jesus Christ had departed from this earth, the disciples still daily attended the synagogue. They still daily went to the temple at Jerusalem and worshipped as the Jews worship, because this is what Jesus Christ brought. He brought the renewal of the laws of Moses. So if the disciples were running around teaching people that Jesus was God, they would have been banished out of the temple the day they walked in, or they would have started their own church. But neither did Jesus. Jesus went to the temple himself. He did not build his own church anywhere and say, worship me. He went to the temple and worshiped God in the same way that Moses worshiped God, the same way that Abraham worshiped God, the same way that David worshiped God, the same way that Zechariah worshiped God. You know, he did the exact same thing, and his disciples followed him. And if you look at the first, 2nd century Christians, they did the same thing. The people of Qumran, the first disciple who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, they were also a part of Judaism. They considered themselves practicing Jews who followed Jesus as their prophet. So we see that nothing had changed. This whole concept of Trinity did not come about until the 3rd century of the church, and it was not formulated as a doctrine that must be believed in until 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea, when all of the bishops and the scholars of Christianity, which started to reform into Christianity after Paul, came together and said, okay, this is a doctrine that we must believe in. And the first person to expound this doctrine was Paul, who never saw Jesus Christ himself, never walked with him, never talked to him, never saw him, never ate with him, never learned from him. It was something that he formulated off a vision that he said he had while he was on the road to Damascus to actually persecute Christians. So he was the first person to ever come up with this title of Christian, ever come up with this title of Trinity, ever come up with the Godship of Jesus Christ or only begotten Son. All of these things came with Paul the Apostle.
Is the word Trinity ever mentioned in the Bible?
It does not exist, and there's only one verse that even barely mentions it. It's 1 John 5 and 7, and there are 3 that bear record on earth, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and there are 3 bear record in heaven, the blood, the water. But if you go and research that verse, almost all biblical scholars have removed that verse from the Bible because it is not a verse that was ever in the Bible. If you go get a revised standard version of the Bible, a new standard version of the Bible, all of those have removed that verse because it is explicitly not a part of the Bible. It is not found in any manuscript before 1200.
We are on number 6.
Number 6 reason is a very big one and very plain one. Jesus ate, slept, and prayed. And we know God by his very nature is self-sufficient. He does not need anything to continue his existence. God does not need to eat. God does not need to sleep. God does not need to pray. God is not in need of anything, because if he was in need of something, then he would not be God.
Let's go to number 5.
Number five reason is that Jesus claimed that God's knowledge was greater than his. When he was asked about the hour, the day of judgment, he said, of that day knoweth no man, nor the angels in heaven. If he would have been God, he would have known that.
Okay, we're coming down
to number 4.
Top 10 reasons why Jesus can't be God on the Dean Show. Talk to us, brother.
Number 4 is that Jesus explicitly states that he is not God. Now, we think that Jesus implicitly states that he is God. There are some ambiguous verses, but what about where he explicitly states that he is not God? For instance, in John 17:3, he said, and this is life eternal. This is the way to eternal life, that they may know you, the one true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent as a messenger. Speaking to Mary Magdalene, I am sent unto my Father and your Father, my God and your God.
And we're going to continue on proving this. And remember, Jesus is beloved to our hearts. And so we're clearing his name here. He was a mighty messenger. Brother, we are coming down to the top 3 now. We came from 10. We're down to 3. This is almost over. Be sincere with yourself. Listen to the rest. Let's go. Number 3, brother.
Number 3 is that even when you get to the title Son of God, even when you get the title Only Begotten Son of God, this is not an exclusive title to Jesus Christ, which many people think. There are many instances where the word Son of God is used. And if anyone would study Jewish culture, especially ancient Jewish culture or Orthodox Jewish culture, to be called a Son of God is a title of esteem and a title of prestige and honor, even being called Lord. Someone would come to their rabbi and they would refer to him as my Lord. This is something that is known by Eastern Europeans also. They refer to people as Lord. So this title is not exclusive. And Jacob and Solomon and Exodus are called sons of God. Ephraim and Jeremiah, Adam is called son of God in the New Testament. Common people are called sons of God in the New and Old Testament. So these are not something that is an exclusive title as Son of God. And I had a discussion with a pastor about this. He said, yes, but Jesus was the only begotten Son of God. And I said, okay, what gives him that exclusive title? What is the characteristic that gives him that exclusive title? He says the New Testament says that, yes, but there must be a reason why he has this exclusive title. He says because he was born miraculously without a father, and in Jewish culture, your lineage was from your father's side. You know, you would be the son of your father, of his father. That's how your lineage was traced, not through the mother. So therefore, since his lineage stopped in Mary, he had no father, therefore God must be his father. I said, but if that is the characteristic for his exclusive sonship, that he has no father, I said, what about Adam and Eve? They had no father nor mother. They were fashioned, as God says, by his own hands out of dirt. And he just made them out of nothing. So if anyone has the exclusive title to be the only begotten Son of God, it should have been Adam. Because not only was he not have a father or mother, he was the first creation. Therefore, why does he not have that title? Why are we not worshiping him as the exclusive Son of God? And he had no answer to that. And it was not to bash him. It was just to say that this is not an exclusive to say, oh, because he has no father, he is God's exclusive son. If anyone wants to read the true, what they call the nativity story, you know, the story of Jesus' birth, go read chapter 19 of the Quran. It will make you cry. It will make you cry, because it made me cry the first time I read it, because it's nothing like the Bible.
We're going to number 2. And if the son, he grows up, he's going to have the attributes of the father. So if the baby son can die, then the father naturally can die. And these are qualities we don't give to the Creator. He doesn't die.
He can't die.
He doesn't have a beginning. So I wanted to point these few things out. Let's go to the next reason. Of the top 10 reasons, Jews and Arabs who read the Bible in Arabic, what is the word for God? Allah.
Allah is go pick up any Bible, go to any hotel, you know, in the front, the Gideons, they have the different translations. Go read the verse in Arabic and you'll see the word Allah is right there.
So the word God, the English language, this word God didn't even exist.
Never existed till 600 years ago.
His friends still call him TJ, but when he goes to his mosque, this former U.S. soldier becomes Mustafa. That's the name that was given to him by the detainees he oversaw at Guantanamo.
If I wanted to have an intellectual conversation, or a conversation in regards to religion or politics or just general theology, having a conversation with the detainee was by far going to be much more superior than having a conversation with my fellow guards.
Eric Sherfin was an infantryman on the front lines in the first Gulf War, even has a signed photograph of himself with the first President Bush. He later became a National Guard helicopter pilot. Sherfin is a convert to Islam. Mecca.
I started just to have big questions about life, the universe and everything, and I started to explore lots of different answers to those questions, and much to my surprise, Islam seemed to be the one that continually came back to me with the answers that made the most sense to me. So eventually, yeah, when I was 19, I decided to convert. I was raised in a household where we did go to church and those sort of things, and so it was always a very big part of my life and always a very positive part of my life. But I think when I was in my teens, I just started to wonder if I believed what I did because I thought it was true, or if it's just what I'd been raised to believe, and that's what sort of prompted the outward.
David, describe your life before you converted to Islam.
Typical young Aussie guy. Used to go out and, drink, smoke, have fun, just do crazy things. Also, I used to be quite a racist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I didn't like Muslims at all.
What did you know about Muslims before you became
what I thought I knew about Muslims? Okay, so firstly, what I thought of Islam is I actually thought Islam was a place, and Muslims came from this place, and they hated everyone, and whoever wasn't a Muslim, I thought they wanted to convert them, and that was it.
They're all from Islamabad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What was the thing that made you go, this thing that I don't know anything about,
well,
I now want to join up to?
I very quickly, within the first minute of a conversation, I very quickly realised that my perception of Muslims and Islam was completely wrong, and straight away I started questioning myself and who I was and who I thought I was, and they were two completely different people. And
so looking at you now, I mean, most people have a vision in their heads of what a Muslim man in Australia looks like, and it doesn't look like you. How has your life changed since you converted?
More on a personal level, physically, like looking after myself a bit better, not drinking, not smoking, which I really wanted to fix up quite some time prior to that, but I just needed that initial kick. And just being a better person, not judging people the way I used to and denied that I did. Just more look at myself and fix myself instead of worry about what's happening out there.
So more thoughtful about your own life.
Yeah, which then cascades throughout to other people that you interact
Just
with.
before we need to bring Stacey in as well, but I just really want to say, what was it other religions do you think are not as introspective? There's obviously not as much focus on health, but they don't force you to be a better person?
No, totally not. It just wasn't working for me.
Yeah,
like I tried, other things, and in my heart it just wasn't sitting right, I'm not saying anything wrong about them, just for me it didn't work.
So Stacey, you also had what many would describe as a typically Australian upbringing. Can you tell us about that, and also about how your family reacted, I suppose, when you told them you were planning on converting to Islam?
Yeah, my family, they're very supportive. I grew up in a very small country town in northern New South Wales. I had a great upbringing. I had a loving family. I'd say I was probably agnostic. So I didn't really tell them about my journey because it was really inner journey rather than, telling everyone about what I was thinking about doing. And I started about 2008, so when I told them in 2010, they already had sensed that there was some changes within, so they handled it really good. And I would say that we're probably closer now that I'm a Muslim than before.
Very interesting.
I'm not looking forward to my family finding out, but how are you going to tell them? I don't know. I mean, like, no, like how they do in the movies. Hey, Mom, I'm a Muslim. Pass the peas, you know.
So, if Texans can be Muslim, could America turn Muslim too?
I think the only thing holding back millions more is education. I think America could be a Muslim country, and I think it would be a very good one if it did.
Do you think George Bush would ever convert?
Oh, I rather doubt it. I think it would be great if he did. I think the world would be a lot better off if he did. Maybe we would back off of some of these rather ill-advised imperial adventures overseas. I think in a lot of ways that Islam could save Americans from themselves. Whether it'll happen or not,
I was very intrigued, like, wow, they're so different, but in a good way, you know. So I think naturally I became interested in Islam.
And I was from a Jewish background. About wearing the hijab, how beautiful it is to be taken for your own personality.
Most of us have been brought up with our parents' religion. Religion shouldn't be a point of dispute. Instead, it should be a point where we're all united, because we're all here on earth for a short time, and in the end it's going to seem like just a day. Eventually there comes a point where you start to have questions about your religion, and we all start to search.
Tell us your name.
Asra.
MashaAllah, it's very nice to meet you. Now, do you know about Islam?
Just for 3-4 months.
Oh, 3 or 4 months. That's more than I had when I got started. You like Islam?
Yep.
You believe there's only one God?
I know it's all.
You know it. Don't need to worry about that. And you believe Muhammad is his messenger?
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I'm from Texas. Another one? Well, your name. It's very nice to meet you.
I was born in Scotland on the Isle of Skye. I was educated largely in Birmingham until I went to Edinburgh University, where I got a PhD in theology in 1933. I became a minister. I left that ministry in 1969, purely and simply because I felt that I could no longer continue to preach things that I didn't believe. I would love to tell you that I started straight away on a search for truth, but that would be a lie. I did everything that was bad. I went completely the wrong way. I gambled, I drank, I womanized. Until in 1995, on October the 28th, praise be to Allah, I embraced Islam.
Stephen Byers, a fourth-year science student, has been learning a lot lately. But his latest studies aren't limited to just physics and biology. Byers is learning about Islam, a religion he's recently embraced.
But ever since I was small, I was interested in science. And as my knowledge of science grew, I came to the conclusion that the universe is so perfectly made and everything so perfectly matches together that there must be God. So I went from certainty there is no God to certainty there must be God and only one God. But I was not looking for a religion. I thought all religions are wrong. Christians say this is one. The Jews said Jews are chosen people, and if you're not Jew, you're not chosen. And about Islam, I only had negative information. But I didn't want to stay ignorant about religions. So I said, okay, I read Bible. And I saw in the Bible there are places which you know come from God. You feel it in your heart. But you see there are places which come from man. Because this page says something that is opposite to the thing that was said a few pages ago. So I knew that Bible was written by men many years after the prophets. And then when I was maybe about 1/3 in Quran, I remember telling my wife, this book is very clear, very logical, very easy to follow, and there are no contradictions. But then as I read later, I suddenly saw a scientific fact which I knew was only discovered in the 20th century. So I said, mashallah, I'm a Muslim. I have wonderful family, I have wonderful children, wife, everything, but the greatest blessing was that God showed me His guidance. And when I pray, I make dua, God, please let me die as a believer. Let me never disbelieve again.
"1,400 years ago, when the world was immersed in darkness, the Quran was revealed, which brought light to a beleaguered world. And whereas the earlier books came with many scientific mistakes, due to the hand of man having delved into them, the Quran had none of these contradictions. The world thought there could be no reconciliation between religion and science. But the Quran mentioned many scientific facts in great detail and being developed in the mother's womb, and described other scientific facts which amaze the world's renowned scientists and scientific community.
O people, listen to my words carefully, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever meet you again at this place. O people, your lives and your property are sacrosanct until you meet your Lord, as are this holy place, this holy day, and this holy month. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord and answer for your deeds. So beware. Whoever of you is holding a trust, let him return it to its rightful owner. All usury is abolished. Your capital, however, is yours to keep. Wrong not, and you shall not be wronged. All bloodshed from the pagan age of ignorance is to be left unavenged. O people, the devil has lost all hope of ever being worshipped in this land of yours. Nevertheless, he will try to mislead you in smaller matters. Beware of him, therefore, for the safety of your religion. Time has turned, and it is as it was the day that God created the heavens and the earth. The number of months is 12. 4 of them are holy, in which war and fighting are forbidden. O man, you have your rights over your wives, and they have rights over you. Do treat your women well, and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. You have taken them only as a trust from Allah, and you have their enjoyment only by His permission. So listen to me in earnest, O people, and reason well. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and my example. If you follow them, you will not go astray. O people, listen to my words. Know that every Muslim is a brother to every Muslim, and that all Muslims constitute one brotherhood. It is only lawful to take from a brother what he gives you willingly, so wrong not yourselves. Be my witness, O Allah, that I have conveyed